I am a big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I really liked the original series, even though I was too young to remember most of it. Loved the 2003 series, and played a good chunk of the video games. Konami's Ninja Turtles games were, with one or two exceptions, all pretty good. The beat-em-ups on the NES and Super Nintendo are classics that hold up to this day, and the 3 licensed games on the GameCube are pretty well made and fun to play. Hell, Battle Nexus and Mutant Nightmare are the only GameCube games I own that are 2 discs long. That's not the effort you find in licensed games. Konami always treated the series with love and respect. Ubisoft did not. Ubisoft's Ninja Turtles games were a decent Prince of Persia clone and a shitty, blatant cash grab Super Smash Bros. Clone. At some point, the series passed hands to Activision, and the games got even worse. Activision released Out of the Shadows and Nickelodeon's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Out of the Shadows was apparently bad enough to crack Angry Joe's Worst Games of the Year list, and the Nickelodeon game is a library rental. Yeah, I'm journeying into the darkness here, and beyond the darkness lies shittiness. The game's story is so simple that it might as well not exist. Baxter, Stockman, Krang, and the Foot are building a mutagen bomb so the Shredder can take over the city. To stop this, you must go and beat up every recognizable villain from the TV series. Maybe this makes sense if I've watched the show, but the bomb turns everybody into a mutant. A, what would be the point of taking over a city with no people in it? And B, wouldn't the chaos created by having 8 million newly mutated super beings inhabiting the city cause mass destruction that would turn New York into a shithole nobody would want to take over anymore? The Shredder's plan is made of stupid. Also, the game pretty much assumes you're watching the series if you're playing the game because it doesn't explain anything about the game's villains. Not one thing. But enough about story, let's talk about the gameplay. It's terrible! You run forward, the levels are linear, tight, and have very little terrain, you beat up enemies and you move on. Some of the enemies have guns, most of them just run at you and try to attack you. You beat up everyone and you move on. There's very little variation to the enemies. Foot Ninja, Krang, more Foot Ninja, more Krang. You fight the same enemies in the first level as you do in whatever level I quit playing on. The controls, press A to attack, press B to jump, which you'll never do because jump attacks suck, and press Z to use a charged up special attack, which you'll only do when you need to smash a shield. So basically you have just one attack button, and gameplay boils down to mashing that one button until enemies stop moving. If you've inflicted enough damage to an enemy, a prompt will appear to press the C button and throw them and instantly kill them. But what confused me is that you can play the game with the classic controller, and the game does not register which controller you're using. So when you can throw an enemy, a prompt will appear to press the X button when the Wii Remote has no X button. That's honestly all there is to the game. You run through a level until a group of enemies stops you, you mash the A button until all the enemies are dead, and you move on. If I think to myself, gosh, I'm bored when I'm playing a game, that's bad. If I think that to myself 10 minutes in, that's really bad. I think the game is meant as an homage to the arcade beat-em-ups that the Turtles were famous for back in the day, but that's probably giving the game too much credit. The difference between this game and those arcade games is, and I know this will be a foreign concept to most gamers, the older games were hard, so that you had to practice and put as much effort into combat as you could, or else you weren't going to get to the end without spending a fortune on continues. This game is so easy and the enemies so ineffective that you'll very rarely lose a life and never get game over. Even if you are close to losing a life, all 4 turtles have their own health bars and you can switch between them anytime you want. So if you're playing alone, you basically have 4 health bars. In a more direct reference to the arcade games, you can throw an enemy into the screen. The first time it happened, I laughed. The second, third, fourth, fifth, and 15th times it happened, I was yelling, "Get out of the way! I can't see what I'm doing!" Levels have entire sections copy-pasted. There are 2 levels aboard the turtle van where the entire level is a small rectangle while the same background scrolls over and over again. Enemies give you a full 2 seconds advance notice before using a powerful attack. Your attacks will keep bouncing off enemies because if an enemy is attacking, you can't damage them, and the hit detection when you're fighting mousers is horrible. And difficulty curve, the game doesn't send more difficult enemies after you in later levels, it just stops giving you health power-ups. The game's core is awful because the basic gameplay is so monotonous and dull, and built around this core is even more awful. The game is also only 3 to 4 hours long, but the game has time trial and survival modes, so that you can strangle a little more length out of this boring-ass game.
Whew. Let's take 5 for some pizza.
You know, that sounds like a good idea. Hello, yes? I would like to order a large pizza with peanut butter and pickles. Huh. Okay. How about guacamole and onions? Darn. Well, now if you don't have guacamole, I don't want the onions. Ooh! Well, it really sounds good. I'll have a large pizza with pretzels and tuna fish.
Give me one good reason why you don't have tuna fish. You're disgusting!
I'm sorry, there's just nothing to talk about here. All you do is mash A until you get to the end of the game. There are no special enemies, no tactics, no strategy, no stimulation of any kind. You have one attack button and you mash it until you get to the end. This is seriously one of the most boring games that I've ever played. And I just got done playing Hercules: The Legendary Journeys. The closest I get to having fun in this game is trying to catch the AI doing stupid shit, because this is some of the worst AI that I have ever seen. All 4 turtles play the game at once, whether there are 4 human players or not, which this game is way too easy in single player. Could you imagine how mind-numbingly easy this would be with 4 players? The turtles that aren't being controlled by humans are controlled by the AI, so playing alone, when you go into a fight against a group of enemies, 1 turtle will start fighting 1 enemy, and the other 2 turtles will stand around doing nothing. Every single fight, your AI partners will do absolutely jack squat to help you. The 1 turtle that does fight an enemy will launch attacks so slowly that you'll probably finish the entire rest of the group by the time he kills that 1 enemy. But hell, at least he's trying! At least Raphael is pretending to help out, whereas Don and Mikey are standing around staring off into space. And the killer part is, I'm pretty sure the partner AI is programmed to stand around doing nothing on purpose. The game is so damn easy that if the AI was even slightly competent, you'd be able to sit back and watch the AI play for you. The game is even aware that the AI is useless because enemies will completely ignore your partners in order to dogpile you. One enemy will go fight 1 turtle to disguise it, but the enemies will focus on you and only you, so your allies can get away with doing nothing. They knew their game was crap, and instead of making it better, they decided to make it more crap. Enemies will sometimes even stand still and wait until you're unoccupied, rather than have the computers fight each other. The idiotic AI isn't even limited to when you're in a fight. You can't switch to a different turtle unless that turtle is on screen, and the AI does such a miserable job trying to follow you that if you run any decent distance, the other turtles will just vanish. The AI is too stupid to walk! So if you want to switch turtles, you either have to backtrack or wait for the AI to give up and respawn. Come on, where is everyone? Oh, there's Mikey, and he's a ghost, and there's Don and Leo. Probably the weirdest thing I ever saw happen is I wanted to switch to Donatello, but I couldn't find him, so I start backtracking through the level only to find Donnie jumping up and down in place. Come on, Don, you're supposed to be the smart one! As you play through the game, you get points that you can use to upgrade your turtles, which amounts to making their attacks stronger, giving them more health, or unlocking special attacks that I got to work once on accident. You don't get nearly enough points to upgrade all 4 turtles unless you start replaying levels, probably done on purpose to pad out the game. Because the AI is so ineffective, you'd probably be much better off if you just pour all your points into upgrading 1 turtle and just use him throughout the entire game. There's nothing stopping you, there's nothing in the game forcing you to switch characters, it's entirely your prerogative. All 4 turtles control exactly the same, so it's not like you'll switch to fit a situation. Unless you plan on playing co-op, you only need 1 or 2 turtles leveled up, and you can ignore the others. You get 3 lives per level, and you'll never use all of them unless you suddenly fall into a coma. The only time I ran out of lives was during the Baxter Stockman boss fight, because the AI turtles are so damn dumb that they will stand around in the middle of nowhere taking damage and not even trying to dodge attacks. The AI turtles take much less damage than you, sure, but if they just stand around soaking up damage, they're going to die at some point, and when they die, it's taken out of your lives. Oh, right, the bosses. Bosses are completely immune to damage except for 1 short window of time, and you're not told when this window of time is. You just have to keep attacking until you magically start doing damage. The time that you're allowed to attack a boss is very short, and you have to wait a long time for a boss to be open. It's fairly easy to figure out the boss's pattern, but bosses take a lot of damage and are immune to damage most of the fight. It's so tedious when you know how to kill the boss, but the fight still takes forever. The bosses are just annoying, and it doesn't help that my AIs are just standing around picking their noses. They're not even trying to dodge the boss's attacks. But fine, just keep getting knocked on your asses, see if I care. I don't mean to just keep digging deeper and deeper into how stupid the AI is, but I'm not kidding when I say there's nothing else to talk about. This game would be boring as shit if I hadn't taken shits that were more interesting than this game. This game could best be described as mash the A button for 3 to 4 hours, and unless you're 5 and you just want to play something with Ninja Turtles in it, I can't think of one single reason anybody should play this game.
This game is... I'm having trouble coming up with any more words to describe it. Waluigi, do you have something to say about this game?
It's lousy!
You heard the man.
Before we wrap things up, there's something else about this game that I think deserves to be talked about. When you turn on the game, 3 options appear on the menu: Continue, New Game, and Legals. If you select Legals, it takes you to this massive 23-section long document that reads like something you'd find in an online privacy agreement. Again, this is a Wii game with no online content. Seeing as how I don't have a life, I actually sat down and read this whole damn thing. I won't go into everything that's in this document, I might do a separate video for that, but here's the bullet points. You cannot sell, lend out, or otherwise give away this game after you've bought it. If you upload a video anywhere on the internet that has content from an Activision game, Activision can seize it, edit it, delete it, take all the profits from it, and if you have signed this agreement, you have waived your ability to so much as assert your rights over your own content. In addition to monitoring your online interactions, they can monitor your console itself. There's one section that basically outright states that Activision is working on console-wide DRM similar to what Microsoft attempted with the Xbox One. Activision can shut down your gaming account with them and irrevocably take away all of your achievements and DLC just because they feel like it, and failure to sign this agreement or adhere to it in its entirety makes it illegal for you to play any Activision products. Now, the reason why I find this funny instead of rage-inducing is that actual real-world law does not allow Activision to enforce 90% of the made-up Candyland law that's in this agreement. This entire document is Activision attempting to abuse power that they do not have. Activision is basically threatening you at gunpoint and praying to God you don't realize they're threatening you with a squirt gun. And whoever wrote this document and stuck it in this game, think about this. Your game is circulating in a public library where anybody can play it for free. Let that thought seep into your brain and cry yourself to sleep. But the question remains, what is all this legal junk doing in a Wii game when it talks about online interactions and stuff? Well, I wasn't able to do much research because almost nobody bought this game. The GameFAQs entry is completely blank, aside from 2 10 out of 10 reviews that I would bet money were written by the developers. But here's what I think. On the game's main menu, and even on the pause menu, is an option marked Exclusive Codes, which is weird terminology. Nickelodeon's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was also released on the Xbox 360 and the 3DS, 2 consoles that support DLC while the Wii does not. So how do you do DLC on a console that doesn't do DLC? Easy. You put the stuff that was intended for DLC on the Wii disc, and then you lock it off so that it can't be accessed without using exclusive codes that you have to purchase online. Again, I have no way of proving this, and I really hope that I'm wrong, but I think that there are parts of the game that are locked off and impossible to access unless you purchase codes from Activision to unlock that content. They charged you $50, or now it's going for $30, for a game that is 3 hours long, and then they charge you more money for little sequences of letters to access the rest of the content that is already on the disc that you bought! There's a special place in hell for games like Nickelodeon's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, games that seem to actively hate their players. The game's design suggests that the developers knew the game was bad, and instead of fixing it, they made it worse. The game is criminally short and may have had content cut out to be sold separately. The game is so simple and not even remotely challenging that it's just freaking boring, and then on top of all of that, they include a document on the game that's basically 101 ways Activision hates you. But you know what? I can't get too mad at this game, and you know why? Nobody bought this game. It's been circulating in Redbox for months. GameFAQs is blank. It's in the public library to check out for free. This is one crappy licensed game that got exactly what it deserved: to fade into obscurity.
I'm just saying, what is the point of me ordering a pizza from you if I have to put on the toppings myself? I didn't say I wanted jalapenos, I said avocados. They sound nothing alike! Your store is right next door to a Shop and Save. Go 2 steps out your door and get some damn pickles! You are the 5th pizza place I've called. Do you or do you not have tuna fish as a topping? Fine, then what pizza toppings do you have? Black olives? Ugh! You know what? Screw this. I'm just gonna go to Subway for lunch. They have pickles!